What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan, and on this planet we send it. What we're going to be getting into in this video is picking up where we left off on my part 1 of the office upgrade. So as promised, today is September 2nd, Thursday. I want to have this video out to you by tomorrow. So what we're going to be covering, as I mentioned, is picking up where we left off, and where we left off was priming and painting the ceiling. So in this video, it has two purposes. Number one, we're going to finish the installation on everything, which is wiring up the lights and the ceiling fan and closing that out. But I also, as a second purpose, want to be showing you all these DIY lessons learned so you guys can learn from me where I had to learn on the hard way. But anyways, I got a plan in place. Let's go ahead and send it. It is the next day and I just got home. First thing I went in is I checked the temperature in the attic, and when I got home it was about 78 degrees outside and about 96 degrees in the attic, so I turned on the whole house fan. Now it's approximately 77 degrees and I think 86 degrees in the attic, so it's cooling down. In the meantime, I kind of want to show you that line up here that basically going all the way around the office. I'm going to be fixing in the meantime while the attic continues to cool down, and then that way by the time I get done with that and get everything else set up, that it should be at least cool as it can get in the attic, and I'll go ahead and then proceed to the attic and do the wiring. But let me show you what we're going to be doing with the wiring. I will say I was fortunate because I already have some color matched paint, or at least I'm pretty sure I do, so I can go ahead and fix this. Otherwise, definitely highly recommend you putting up about 4 to 6 inches of tape up there so that the roller doesn't wipe off on the wall, and you can see the mistake that I did there. I figured you guys saw me doing enough painting in the last video. I left you out, but you can see I was able to get it so that the paint was color matched, and it looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and move on to wiring the lights. Say hi, Chico.
Hi.
All right, so every single one of these is pretty much the same thing. So you're gonna have these three options here, these three wires here. You're gonna have your ground, you're gonna have your hot, and you're gonna have your neutral. Or I forget the exact terms, but basically to continue the circuit. So let me just kind of show you one of these things. So each one of these lights has basically, you can connect 3 sources into, or 3 wires into it, and I'm going to be using that to connect. Instead of creating my own relay, I'm going to be using these junctions as an own relay myself. So let me show you what I mean. So I've already measured out all the different wiring, and as you can see here, I've already sort of prepped some of these wires to go into to get ready, just because it is going to be warm up there and it's a little uncomfortable in the cramped space in the attic. So I'm doing as much work down here as I can in preparation. So when I get up there, I'm going to already have these 3 cut. So I'll go ahead, insert it into this one, connect that one, and then staple it on down with my staples along the rafter, and then cut it to size and then connect that one. And then I'll do the same thing just from there to there and from there to there. So again, I'm just kind of prepping everything prior to going into the attic, and then I'm going to connect everything to that one. And then here I'm actually talking to a drywall guy, but I'm seeing when he could possibly come over here, and I want to turn this one switch box into a dual gang box so that I can have 2 different switches for not only the light but for the fan that I will also be routing the power for down the same way. And we'll just connect it over here to the tool gang. All right, now there just ain't nothing to it but to do it. So let's go ahead and fix this paint while the attic is cooling off still. All right, so I got everything wired up. Everything is good to go. But I don't have anything connected. It's always fun having to go in the attic. It's not very difficult to do what I did, but when you get into the attic and you're having to slow walk and watch every step, it definitely builds the sweat. But anyways, let me show you what we got to do next. All right, so I have the power wire from the fan and that light. I had to drill a hole through the top plate because the one that was in there wasn't big enough. And I have basically the 2 extra wires down here. Now, in order to make sure I didn't confuse the wires between that one and that one, I went ahead and for the light, I went ahead and basically cut it open so that it's completely obvious on which one is for that one. And for this one, I just left unadulterated. So just nothing cut, just looks like the end of what you're seeing right now. All right, so the next step for me is to replace this 1 gang light switch with a 2 gang box so that I can go ahead and also put in the fan controls in this one container. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this off, and I'm going to go ahead and trace this out and then cut it out so that I can screw it on where I'm holding right here, and then basically wire everything in here, and then we should be good to go. Good afternoon. It is the next day again. So as you can see, I was able to move in some office equipment last night, and I did that because of basically when it was getting time for me to go ahead and start cutting into the wall. I decided that since it was getting dark, it probably wasn't a good time to go ahead and cut off power to that part of the house. And so that gave me time to go ahead and move in some of the office equipment. And then it also gave me time to converse with someone who my wife knows is in the industry. And he recommended that I use this retrofit box instead of doing the tool gang box that I showed you yesterday. And so the only drawback to this is I'm going to have to bring power from this one over to the new box, and that's not going to be that difficult. But besides that, the good thing is I'm not going to have to do any additional drywall. Just make sure I cut it real tight. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sit you guys up on the tripod, start cutting into the wall. I've already secured the power. We'll go ahead and send it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I can't get a hold of the other wire. So unfortunately, I have to pull out the ladder, get back up into the attic, and refish it back down and see if I can't get it so it's in plain sight now. You know, it's just, oh well, kind of sucks, but you just got to do what you got to do. All right, let's send it. Since I am not a licensed electrician, I am not going to show the next part of me wiring everything together. But, however, I am going to explain what I'm going to do real fast. So this light switch right here controls the circuit to that light switch. So what I'm going to do is when it's all said and done, I'm going to wire that switch up that this is connecting so that light switch has permanent power. Just as I mentioned yesterday, this is I opened this one up for the lights. So I'm going to connect the lights. I'm going to feed it into one of those four holes, one of these four things back here. You see 1, 2, 3, and 4 back there. You can't kind of see because of the wires in the way. So I'm going to take one of those and put them into the new gang box. And I'm going to take this 20 gauge wire and connect this side to this side. And then, so what that's going to do is when I'm ready to connect the fan, this wire right here, I'll be able to go ahead and connect that to this wire, which will then connect up to there. So long story short, what I'm going to end up doing when all said is done is I'm going to put a new light switch in here. I'm going to bring power from this side to this side so that when it's ready to connect the fan, there's power here ready and ready for that wiring. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do this all offline. I'll see you in a sec. It's always a good sign when you turn the breakers on and nothing pops. All right, so I have the two hot wires, two power wires ready for the fan. As soon as I connect those to the fan circuit, then it'll go ahead and close the circuit to the fan. And I got the ground here ready for the ground for the fan switch also. So next thing is to do is to go ahead and plug in the lights and let's see if they work. All right, next thing is to test it. I know that one of them works, and I'll explain why here in a second. Got a few things to pick up there too, but let's go ahead and flip the switch and see if they all work. And they do. All right, good. So let me go ahead and show you what I was talking about on why I know at least one of them works, because there was one issue. All right, and let me show you here what was the issue. You can see the lights are on, and this is in the off position. Not a big deal. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over, and we'll be good to go. Now, let me show you the lights that I got and the settings that I have with them. So nothing too fancy, but what I like about these lights is that you can set the Kelvin to see if you want anything from warm white all the way up to daylight. So that gives me the option. Let me go ahead and show you. I currently have right now 4K selected, and this is sort of the hue that it's given me. So it looks pretty good. I'm fairly confident if I get a small fan based on where the lights are, I'm gonna not get sort of a blade interference with the lights. But that brings me to the next, potentially the hardest step out of this whole thing. That's me and my wife both agreeing on which fan to put in here. But once that's selected, everything is in place. I'll be able to go ahead and quickly mount that up and install it. So I'll see you then once I have the fan. Well, it was a little easier than I anticipated. I found a fan that the wife and I are both good with, but before I show you the fan, I want to show you an air. As you can see, here on the side, the blue gang box is displayed. So I'm going to have to, unfortunately, I've already trashed the box. There's only a few dollars, but I'm going to have to get another outlet plate or another switch plate that is just maybe a centimeter wider than this one. So has a little bit more over here, but more importantly, a little bit more overlap over here to cover that up. All right, let's show you the fan. All right, there's only really a few things I want to kind of highlight here. It's not that very significant fan. Picked it up at Lowe's. It is a 52-inch fan, and that is actually potentially the problem. I was going with sort of a minimalist fan, and it is pretty minimal. But the 52 inches that's concerning as I wanted maybe 44 to 48 inches max for the size of this room, so that the fans, the blades themselves, don't get under the light in the ceilings and potentially cause some flickering. So we're going to see. It's going to be close on that. However, one thing that is cool in relation to the lights is this one has a lot of different settings that I can set this light to match what the overhead lights are. So I do have a 4K and a 5K on the lights above, so that's pretty good. I'm going to set it to 4K as we discussed, and hopefully it'll match, at least be pretty close. So that is actually something pretty cool. All right, it's just time to send it. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys up on the tripod, and you'll just see me connect basically white to white, black to black, and green to green, and then we'll just go from there, and hopefully everything works when all is said and done. All right, let's send it. All right, everything is operational and working as I would like it to, with a couple of exceptions. So the light switch you see there was the original light switch. I wanted to use this universal fan control switch, and I think I screwed something up with initially trying to wire it up. So I'm gonna try again a little bit later, but I'll just brief you guys on that later if it works or not. But the other thing that I want to highlight is I went to basically put the wall plate on here. Let me show you. I went to put the wall switch on, the wall plate on, and it's not lining up. And I should have probably have realized that when originally this side was sticking out. So I feel like I'm going to end up having to go to a dual gang box. There's probably some electricians watching that knew it from as soon as they saw me setting this up that was going to happen. Unfortunately, I learned the hard way. Again, when you do it DIY, you have to accept these risks that you're going to screw it up and have to maybe do double, triple, quadruple the work. But it's all good. Now let me show you what I'm really happy about though. The light that I have in here is just a whole order of magnitude better. I was not planning, I was almost contemplating to get a fan without a light. Let me show you what that looks like without a light. Turn that off. And so you can see it immediately casts shadow on here. And I could probably correct that a little bit by adjusting the lights to run at 5000K, but that would only give me so much, and to be honest, when you're on the computer, something that kind of strains the eyes. So let me go ahead and turn the fan back on, the light back on. So that just makes it significantly better in here. So I'm extremely happy with the light in here. And I mean, the other thing with the light is there is some flickering on the wall, and that does suck. And to be honest, with this fan, let me show you. Regardless, I was going to be getting that rotation at the top just because of the light that's on there and the way it's shining. Now, the light that is flickering onto the walls, it is what it is. I think it's not going to be too bad, so it's all good. I'm just going to have to go accept it. If it does get anything crazy, then maybe I'm going to put this fan in another room and put something better in here, or maybe just not put anything at all in there. And that is going to wrap up this project. It is actually the next day, and I just finished removing the 2 single gang boxes and installed the single dual gang box and found a faceplate that was just a little bit wider, and so I'm now covering up the hole. So we are all good on there. But as you can see, I do not have the specific fan controller for it that I was trying to install. Yesterday I said it was probably me who screwed it up, but I just double checked everything with plenty of light, and it was not me. This is not working for the fan that I have, so all good. Maybe I'll find something later, but at a minimum, I did went ahead and I hung the fan that came with it. Pretty simple. You just got the light, the off, and the 3 switches for the different fan modes, high, medium, and low. And yeah, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this project. All right, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Like I said, lots of lessons learned. Hopefully you guys learned it from me, whereas I had to learn it the hard way. But I do want to, it's now been actually over a week since I've had the fan and everything installed and the lights and everything. And as I've been working in the day and night, mostly the night with the lights on, I actually don't notice the flickering of the fan going underneath the lights. So I'm pretty happy with it. I thought it was actually going to bother me, but it doesn't. It's barely noticeable. Since where it lies on the wall, I just don't even really see it when I'm looking at my computer or looking at the desk or anything. So all's good. So I'm very happy with the lighting upgrade. Just so much more light in there. Absolutely everything that I wanted. And plus, we're still coming, although we're coming to the end of summer, it still gets pretty warm in there, since here in San Diego, many houses, including myself, doesn't have air conditioning. And so it has absolutely come handy on quite a few days since I did the original video. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.